Good afternoon. Welcome to 2022. We're excited about getting this season started, and in particular the manner in which we get a chance to get it started. We get the challenge of going to a divisional opponent in their place, and so we're excited about that. Much of the discussion this time of year for us is man versus himself. I think that probably the 31 other teams share that perspective. I think the things that determine good play at the early portions of the season are fundamental things, displays of understanding, good communication and coordination, situational awareness. And so it's really the fundamental football things, the professional level football things that we've been growing and talking about and developing since the very beginning of this process. And so although we do face a formidable opponent in Cincinnati, just as many of our questions will be answered about what we're capable of doing in terms of formulating our plan as opposed to what Cincinnati's capable of doing. We got to put our guys in position to play fast. We got to put our guys in position to communicate fluidly and be able to adjust and to deal with the situations that regular season in-game football presents them. Whether it's the transitions in terms of circumstance, sudden change, explosion plays, situational plays. It's just going to be really exciting to watch us as a collective find our regular season footing in those areas. But I'd imagine Cincinnati has the same mentality. We're hardening up our plan as we speak. We're talking specifically about division of labor, who does what in terms of the roles. You guys have asked a lot about the development of the quarterback position. I'll talk about that decision-making process, so we got complete clarity there. As you guys have seen, because of the release of our depth chart, Mitch Trubisky is our starting quarterback and our captain. Man, we're just really comfortable with what Mitch has shown us. He's a guy that came to us with franchise quarterback experience, if you will. He's comfortable in those shoes. He's been the focal point of a football team in an organization before. He's had success in doing so. Like I mentioned when we acquired him, he took the Bears to the playoffs 2 out of 4 years. He has a winning record as a starting quarterback. Those things were attractive to us. His athleticism and mobility were attractive to us. He took care of the football in stadium. All our quarterbacks did, and I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. It's good to come to decisions based on what people are doing as opposed to what people are not doing. I thought all three of our quarterbacks represented themselves and us really well through this process. I thought they made plays. I thought they moved their units. I thought they took care of the football. So that made the decision-making a challenging one, but also a fun one as well. Mitch, as I mentioned, is really comfortable in those shoes and displayed that daily, just about in any circumstance that you put him in. Really pleased with the growth and development of Kenny. That's why he's listed as number 2. I thought his acceleration of development really took off once we stepped into stadiums and once we start stepping into stadiums. His decision-making, the fluidity of it, his competitive spirit, his pinpoint accuracy, all of those things I thought really came to the forefront once we started coming into stadiums, and I thought that he grew and grew at a really fast pace once we got into stadiums. And I also think it's reasonable to expect that growth and development to continue as we push into the regular season. We're excited about where he is and the ground that he's covered to this point and the ground that he's going to continue to cover. As we find our regular season rhythm, he gains an understanding of what that is, what preparation is like, what the rhythm of a 7-day process is like in terms of getting ready for regular season ball and so forth. Just really excited about where he is and what he's capable of. Man, I've got so much respect for Mason Rudolph and his approach to this competition and how he performed. He didn't bat an eye. He didn't blink. He didn't pout about reps or what groups he was running in. He just made plays. He helped those around him be better and get better. I think the young wideouts had an opportunity to grow and develop because of the spirit and the play and the leadership displayed by all three quarterbacks. We got some young wideouts that are going to have an opportunity to play significant roles for us, and I just think that their growth and development has really been nurtured by those guys and how they've communicated and the professionalism in which they've approached all of this. We got some other decisions that need to be made, and we've outlined those things for you. I'll handle those on an individual basis if you choose to have questions along those lines. I'll pause briefly and talk about Cincinnati. You know, before I get into individuals and the splash playmakers and so forth, I'll say this. We got to take care of the football. You know, they dominated and controlled both games a year ago because we didn't give ourselves a chance. Possession of the ball is a major component of being competitive. It allows situations to unfold. It allows weighty plays and moments to develop. Very rarely did they get an opportunity to develop last year in the contest against the Bengals because we just didn't do a good enough job of taking care of the football. So that is a big component of preparation for us, but it would be regardless of who we're playing. But I thought I'd be remiss if I didn't mention those things. Now on to these guys. Joe Burrow's their signal caller. He's ultra talented. He's great above the neck. He makes unbelievable decisions. He moves their group, particularly in those weighty moments. His ability to distribute the ball to a variety of capable guys like Chase and Higgins and Boyd, you know, is spectacular. They got a new tight end in Hurst that we have to contend with. And so you got to play a well-balanced game. You got to utilize all the tools in your toolbox and spin the dial, if you will, if you want to try to keep a group like that and a guy like Joe off balance. And so we understand that. To make that challenge doubly challenging, you also have to contend with Joe Mixon in their running game. And we got to do a better job than we did in that area a year ago as well. And so we got a lot of work ahead of us in terms of dealing with that group and their personality and how they spread the ball around and move the chains and ring up the scoreboard. On the other side of the ball, man, they got quality players at every level. They got a quality edge rush tandem that really took over football games, particularly as the season unfolded last year. Can't say enough about Logan. They're all situations linebacker who has really matured through his time there, and you can see green dot-like characteristics in him over his time and the things that he does for him, whether it's playing second-level linebacker things or being a component of their rush or playing in possession down circumstances. He's not out of order in any of those circumstances. Mike Hilton at the nickel spot has really added another level to their sub-package football. He's good in the blitz game. He's good in the coverage game. He's good in the perimeter game, jet sweeps, wide receiver screens, fitting and so forth, and open grass tackling has always been a major component of his play. And you can't say enough about the safety tandem, the veteran safety tandem in Jesse Bates and Von Bell. They've been together for a number of years now. Both are very capable splash playmakers. Bates is a franchise guy for him, and Bell is a nuts and bolts type of a guy that doesn't get enough credit for the things that he does for him. In the special teams game, man, they've got great continuity. Their coordinator's been there for 15-plus years. Their snapper, their punter are seasoned guys. They got core guys. They got a personality, if you will. That phase of the game has always been a challenging one and a major component of the matchup, and I don't expect that to be any different this time around. But more than anything, it's Tuesday, it's week one. We're excited about meeting the challenges of getting this season started and preparing ourselves and understanding that the process, man, is the battle. And so we had a good bonus day yesterday. The staff is working extremely hard to formulate schematic plans today. Guys are in the building taking care of their bodies and working independently like they do on a Tuesday. And we'll be excited to roll that ball back out again tomorrow and continue with development. I'll pause and open it up for questions.
Mike, can he take all the practice reps as the backup quarterback this week then? Is that the plan?
He will, yes.
Mike, some teams with rookies, when they have rookie quarterbacks, San Francisco last year find packages for their rookie QBs to sprinkle into games. Are there any plans of that?
Not as I stand here today, no.
Mike, there was a depth chart that was released yesterday that had Mason as the number 2 today. Kenny, just what's behind the discrepancy?
It was a clerical error. You know, that's how the depth chart was listed at the start of training camp. So the cut and paste component was the cut and paste component. I know you were hoping for a little bit more colorful explanation, but it is what it is. That's what happened.
Coach, in light of everything that the quarterbacks did well in the preseason, what separated Trubisky and Pickett?
Again, like I mentioned, and I outlined extensively, he's comfortable in those shoes. Talking about Mitch, he's worn them before. He performed extremely well. His mobility is a major component of his status and what it brings to us. And Kenny got better with each and every opportunity inside stadiums.
Mike, when you have 6 DBs and 1 inside linebacker on the field, who's the one?
You'll find out. We got some options there. No, seriously, it could be based on call. It could be based on situation and circumstances. We've got some fluidity there.
Did you learn anything about Mitch, maybe as a leader, that you didn't know when you signed him as you've gone through this?
I didn't know much about Mitch when we signed him, so it's all been a learning process or get to know, and it's been a pleasant one.
What point in the process did Mitch establish himself as the number one guy? Is this something that came to an 11th hour decision?
It is continual. It has been and will continue to be, I would imagine.
Mike, whatever issues your offensive line may have had in preseason, how much, if at all, do you attribute to the fact they're learning a new technique from a new offensive line coach?
It's some of them are new to the professional game. Some of them are new to Pittsburgh. It is a collective body of work, and so there's a cohesion component of it as well. There's a lot of reasons why, units, and particularly a unit such as the offensive line, develop at different rates and sometimes experience the growing pains associated with that. I'm not expecting that to cease instantly as we push into the regular season. They'll be continually growing as a collective, but they better make enough plays to be successful along the way, and I'm just acknowledging that truth or reality as well.
Mike, over the course of camp, what stood out to you about Jaylen Warren, and what role could he have with your offense?
He's been highly consistent when given opportunities in just about all areas, whether it's running the ball inside or out, whether it's in the passing game or whether it's in the blitz pickup. He's just been highly competitive in all circumstances. You could also include special teams in that. And so, he'll get an opportunity to carve out a role for himself, if you will, as we continue to play. And I just think it's important to acknowledge that. We'll have a hardcore plan as we step into Stadium 1, but those plans are subject to change, and those plans get hardened the more stadiums you step in. The division of labor gets more defined. The understanding of the division of labor gets more defined. Roles grow and diminish based on performance. And so we're excited about where he is, but he'll continually carve out a niche for himself in this thing, not only this week, but in the upcoming weeks.
You talked about how Joe Mixon was performing against you guys last year. What do the added bodies on their offensive line contribute to the matchups and the challenges you guys face up front?
I have no idea. A lot of those guys hadn't played throughout the preseason, and so it's somewhat of a mystery there. But I would imagine it's somewhat of a mystery for them as well. I think that's just the excitement associated with Week 1 football.
Mike, Cam Hayward said yesterday that as a captain, it's his job to get things going the right way and make sure you guys are doing that. How do you see the leaders on this team kind of setting the tone as you go into Week 1 here?
They're going to have an opportunity to do that. We just named captains yesterday, and so it was interesting. I had a cool conversation with Najee. He was excited about being a first-time captain. And he says, what does this mean to me? I said, it means absolutely nothing. It means conduct yourself in the way that you've conducted yourself because, your teammates think that's admirable. And so they don't have to try too hard. It'll come to them. They should let it come to them. They should do the things that made them attractive to their teammates in the selection process.
Mike, do you anticipate Deontay being available at practice this weekend and available on Sunday?
We'll let participation be our guide. You guys know how we do business regular season. We'll have a practice participation report as prescribed by the NFL office, and we'll proceed from there.
TJ has been asked quite a bit during training camp and the preseason, essentially, what do you do for an encore after Defensive Player of the Year last year? He's always answered with team-related goals, Super Bowl, get to a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. What can he do individually to make that team collective more likely to happen?
I agree with TJ.
How does from the outside linebacker position, how does one do that even more than he has already?
Elite players make plays consistently, but they particularly make them in those weighty moments. That's what he's done since he's been here, and so it's reasonable to expect that to continue. And it's reasonable to expect that to continue at a more frequent rate as he works to hone his game and continually get better.
Mike, you in training dominant in terms of what you expect from the defense. What do you expect from your offense and maybe overall this one?
I think similar things. I think there's more continuity on the defensive side of the ball, and so it's reasonable to expect that process to be more fluid and maybe quicker. But just the trajectory from an expectation standpoint, we're trying to be a world championship caliber team. It's going to require us to be special in all three phases, and those are our intentions.
Coach,
Coach, obviously you have new return specialists this year. And what do you expect out of Gunner and Steven?
Playmaking, good field decision making with the potential for big plays. They've shown us that, or the makings of that, throughout the developmental process, and that's going to be the standard of expectation.
Mike, did you find anything
Kevin
uniquely?
Dotson, to have him win that job at left guard?
I'm sorry?
What did you see from Kevin Dotson to have him win that job at left guard?
He played better than KG, and it's as simple as that.
Did you find anything uniquely challenging about trying to get to the Super Bowl after having lost it the previous year?
Man, I can't remember. I'm fighting to get every year, and every year it's an absolute fight.
Not many do it.
Not many get there, period. It's 32 that embark on it every year, and 2 get there. And so, you can shape that story however you want to shape it. It's a tough fight. This is a competitive business. This is a competitor's business. I absolutely love it.
Mike, do you anticipate dressing 3 quarterbacks on Sunday?
No.
You opened up last year on the road against a high-quality AFC opponent, won the game. What was it about your preparation in week 1 last year that was sound enough to allow you to do that in that environment?
You can point to some element of preparation and things of that nature. The bottom line is we probably blocked that punt, and that changed the trajectory of that game, and splash playmaking usually does.
Mike, did you explain the clerical error to the backups, or Kenny and Mason, or they don't need that?
They don't need that. We talked yesterday. They understood where we were, and so I would imagine they viewed it as such.
Do you have to balance, try to find a way to keep Mason? I mean, I know he's a veteran, but to keep him.
We're singularly focused on winning football games. We don't have any side agendas and things of that nature. Sometimes we make the simple complex by adding ridiculous complexities. We got to get the football team ready to go to Cincinnati and win a game, and the quarterbacks are a component of that. The first quarterback, the second quarterback, the third quarterback all have defined roles, and they need to perform them very well like the rest of us, regardless of what our roles may be.
Mike, what have you seen from your cornerback room with Akello, Cameron, and Levi especially, how they prepared throughout the summer and how they look going up against a wide receiver trio like this?
I love their above-the-net game. I love the fluidity of their communication. They're engaged. I think that helps them grow as a collective. Those are the 2 position groups that the collective growth and development is significant. Talking about the offensive line and the secondary, and I like what I've seen from that group. And I think it's probably teed up because they're all such good vocal communicators. Talking about Akello and Levi and Cam Sutton specifically.
Mike, did you learn anything about the 3-game preseason going into this for the first time that you didn't know going into it or think about going into it?
No.
It was what you expected?
Kind of, yeah.
Mike, is Terrell Austin going to be upstairs, downstairs, decision making?
He's been upstairs and downstairs throughout this process. We hadn't decided what it's going to be this week.
Is there pros and cons?
They are. I'm not going to outline them, but they are.
With Levi Wallace, even though he's not listed as a starter, he figured to play prominently. And
you guys know the third corner plays a lot of football in today's game. It does, man. Specialization, sub-package football, whether it's Levi Wallace or whether it's Arthur Millette, whether it's Trey Norwood, all the defensive backs in the helmet are going to have an opportunity to be big components of what we do, because oftentimes that specialization occurs on possession downs and in situational play, and those are weighty moments.
Mike, what has Miles Jack brought to your room and to your defense?
Man, he's a linebacker. He's a linebacker at all times, 24 hours a day. I've enjoyed getting to know him. He's highly competitive. He's extremely critical of himself. He's a good teammate. He loves football. He likes to laugh. It's been a good get-to-know process with him, and I'm excited about walking this journey with him.
How will you fill the void of the role that KZ might have played had he remained healthy?
You know, I don't know that we viewed it in that way because we were still establishing roles. And so although he did some nice things in team development, I don't know if we were at that stage of development where he had nailed down a role or a position or a division of labor.
Like some of the guys talked yesterday about expecting Cincinnati to be hanging a banner or something of that, honoring their team from last year. Can you use that as motivation, and do you want that to be?
Man, I don't go for the low-hanging fruit. I really don't. This is a football game. We'll be there. That's motivation enough. We're professionals. It's divisional play. It's the regular season. What else you need?
Mike, do you expect Alex Highsmith to be good on Sunday?
I do.
Do you think Malik Reed has enough time to adjust to play significantly?
We'll see about the new guys. Their ability to execute and have detail in their play throughout the course of the week will determine whether or not they have roles or the significance of those roles.
Mike, what have you seen out of Devin Bush's growth this year in camp and how he took Miles Jack coming into the room and how they've worked together?
It's been really good. Like the corners, I thought those two guys have done a really good job of establishing a rapport. Obviously, Miles Jack is a more veteran player, and it's been cool to watch the nature of that big brother, little brother relationship. I've been excited about that, but they'll get an opportunity to write the true essence of that story with how they play collectively as a tandem, and I'm excited about them.
Anyone else? All right.
Thank you, guys.